Hi, Shantanu. Good to have you here, and congrats again on your NCR admit.
Thank you so much, Arvind. Thanks. Always happy and pleasure to speak with you.
Same here,
So,
same here. Shantanu. So the motive behind this debrief, Shantanu,
hmm,
is mainly, I would say, two things. One is to sort of go through your journey. We
hmm.
think we met around 6, 7 months back, right? Just sort of like a,
Yes.
part down memory lane on our journey
Yeah.
on your motivation for an MBA application process and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
That's mainly angle one. We'll cover sort
Hmm,
of some nuances there, and also
hmm,
cover some angles on your insights, right? What did you learn through
hmm.
the journey of getting into one of the most competitive programs and the most exhaustive applications, right? It is competitive, yes,
Yeah.
but even if you compare it to sort of some of the top other programs, right, in the US or Europe, the INSEAD
Hmm.
application is a different beast in itself, right? The
100%.
number of essays, videos, interviews, so on and so forth. So that's basically the objective of this debrief, is to sort of go through your journey and hopefully uncover some insights that'll help potential applicants sort of
Sure.
bust some myths and sort of learn more about the journey. So
Yes.
with that, we'll start with a brief background, Shantanu. If you could tell us about your experience so far and what sort of motivated you to do an MBA right at this point.
Yeah. Thanks, Arvind. Thank you. I think I would definitely start by saying thanks a lot to you. I don't think this entire stressful, exhaustive journey would have been possible if I was not in touch with you. But to give some context, I graduated from IIT Bombay in the year of 2015. And after that, I have like almost 8.5 years of experience across management consulting and two different startups, one in India and one in the UAE. So I started my career helping clients work into product engineering services, find projects. So making PPTs, understanding their problem statements, solving and giving some operational aspect also. After that, I actually moved to one of the online real estate startups in India, where I was part of an in-house strategy team. So my basic role was to help grow the business. It was more around sales strategy and operations. So worked very closely with the CXOs, with sales leaders on how to set up verticals from scratch and what to sell, to whom to sell, at what price to sell, etc. These were things that I was taking care of. After that, I moved to Dubai. I joined Cars24 here. It's an online automotive platform. And here in this UAE market, we are trying to make it easier for customers to buy and sell their cars. So lead a vertical here. I have like a team of almost 35 people. So, uh, I mean, that's like the brief work that I've done till now. In order to say, why MBA? So I believe as you could see, my experience has been more around a lot around business operations, around setting up verticals, setting up businesses right from scratch, and also small stint of management consult in the beginning. So what I felt was that there is a long-term strategic planning skill set that I saw was kind of missing in me. So I wanted to upskill myself with that. That would be helpful for me in the longer run. So my long run plan is to get C-suite leadership. So for that, I thought, the people aspect, operation aspect is there with me, but this long range planning, I need to upskill. My second major reason for doing MBA was to transition into, back into management consulting, I would say. So I started with that, but then I did a lot of technology startups in between. So I wanted to combine my experiences, get back into management consulting. So, and the only way to do that was, to get into the top four consulting firms, to get into MVPs in the region that I want to. So MBA was one of the ways that I could go about. So yeah, broadly my journey and the why MBA is this. Yes.
Right, good. So, I mean, maybe if I can add one thing there, Chancellor, and I also want to discuss this specific angle, right? Because there are definite strengths to your profile, right? The IIT tag, for example, it is a definite strength. And but I would say in terms of the non-traditional aspects of the profile, right? So if we
Yeah.
can touch a bit
Yes.
on that, which are every profile has its pros and cons, right? So it's whether it's from the score perspective or the work X or the different angles that you look. So did you sort of feel any? I just want to, let's say, go back to the GMATClub post, right, that we had, which we first interacted
Oh,
on, right,
yes.
which
Yeah.
we could sort of touch a bit on that.
Correct. Yeah. So definitely, I had my own inhibitions and fears for sure. So I would say, first of all, like my experience has definitely been little on the higher side, I would say, than the average experience of the cohort. So I come with like almost 8-9 years of experience. So that was one of the aspect where, we definitely had to work a lot on that. So how to portray it in a good way, how I fit into the MBA cohort. So that was one of the things. Definitely the IIT Bombay tag was there, but high experience was one of the things. The second, I would say, I had a good GMAT score, like it was a 94th percentile in focus edition, but there was a huge difference. I would not say huge difference, but a skew, mostly towards the quantitative side of it. So my quant and data interpretation scores were like above 95 percentile, but my verbal was slightly lower than that. So that was another thing that I was kind of afraid of, that how would I want to, put forward that aspect. I think those are the two things majorly. And again, like I wanted to get into consulting, so that's more of an individualistic role, right? And
Right.
currently I literally lead a team of like 35-40 people. So that was another angle to show people that you have the growth mindset, and you would be able to work in an individual role. So I think these were the major three things that come across to my mind. uh, and yeah, that GMAT club post, yes, definitely. I wrote it, my very first few thoughts I wrote on the club. I was on that page there. And I was so glad. I mean, this is one of the aspects that I really liked about working with you also. I think couple of 2-3 people had replied on to that, and most of them were very generic replies. Oh, you're from IT and all that, all that. You can do this, you can do that. But yours one was the most detailed one. You literally into that paragraph could read out what I wanted to say, what inhibitions I had in my mind, or what could be advantages of my profile. So of course, that is how I definitely got connected with you. So that was great. Yes.
Right, great. And the reason that I also want to sort of bring this up is also because through this journey, what I've seen with you specifically, Shantanu, is yes, there are, as I said, every profile has its strengths, or I wouldn't say challenges, but angles that would need more work, right, to sort of
Correct.
position, polish on the profile and so forth,
Correct.
right? Which,
Correct.
and to me, from the candidate side, which is extremely important, is to have a clear, I mean, whether we call it sort of, let's say, vision or, even hard work, which is perseverance that, okay, I know this is what I'm working with. These are my strengths.
Yeah.
Sure, great. These are some,
Yeah.
angles that I need work on, but to just keep doing it in a diligent way, right? Which I felt was particularly from your side was maybe it's also because you worked in managerial positions, you led teams and so on. So you
Yeah.
obviously bring in that rigor. But and this is also, I think, kind of like, I mean, I wouldn't say message, but just a note to applicants is to say that, not everything has to be 100% pitch perfect, right, on your profile, right? And
Yeah.
and adcoms understand that, right? So it's more on what are the strengths you bring. Are you, because if, for example, even one of the INSEAD essays is about failure, right? So
Yes.
that question will
Yeah.
not be there, if all that they're
Oh,
looking
yeah.
for is only the score and the
Yeah.
positive angles, right? So how
Yeah.
introspective are you? How sort of, how do you sort of think about areas that you need to
Correct.
improve on and so on and so forth? And then what do you want to do, right? Which is
Correct.
basically linked to an MBA is I think something to keep in mind, right, for people that are applying not just to NCR but to sort of any school. So
Yeah.
that brings me to one
Yeah, I'll just
angle
add
on.
another point to it.
Yeah.
So sorry, but let's say even I had this perception before applying that okay, I have this IIT tag with me, and I worked here, I've done international, everything, all that I have in me. So it should be a piece of cake. But I was so wrong when I started, reading about it, spoke with you. So there are when you spoke about that failure essay or introspecting deeply, those were the angles that even if you have certain things with you on the resume, that's no guarantee to anything. Like you really have to show your overall personality. So yeah, so
Right.
definitely that is something to be taken care of. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So can you tell us a bit about Shantanu on, okay, once you decided to do an MBA, how did you approach sort of which schools to look at, or, which schools to prioritize, and, going on to the process?
Yeah. So for me, because of course I come from great experience, so my opportunity cost of staying unemployed is higher. So I was very clear on doing shorter programs, like a year or year and a half maximum is was something that I could afford to do. So with that in mind, and because my region also, like most likely, I also want to come back to Middle East after my work is done. Sorry, after my college is done. So with that in mind, I was only looking at European schools. So I at least was very clear on that I wanted to apply to European schools. And then the top schools there, definitely INSEAD, HEC, which aligns with what I want to do in the region, and gives me a good global network. Also, like let's say even in coming years, I want to go to some other geography. So the network from INSEAD, HEC, that would be really helpful for me. So I did this research, like the top European schools. I found a couple of them. I actually read to, I went on their website, read about them, searched a lot of LinkedIn profiles of people who are working there. And then I was kind of able to connect what they have to offer and what I want to do. And with these schools, it aligned for me. So yeah, yes.
Right. Absolutely. And so could you tell us about sort of the process itself, right, for INSEAD and HSC, right? So which I want to highlight that you received an admit from both,
Oh, yeah.
right, from both of the programs that you sort of had in mind, which is great.
Yes.
So just to let's start with INSEAD, right, on the sort of process, how did we approach it, and any particular lessons or insights, right, that you have through the journey, right? Let's start from sort of the base, right, which is understanding anecdotes or which angles, positives, negatives, extracurriculars, so on, because there's a bunch of essays, right? 9
Yeah,
essays, right, if you put together. So
correct.
let's talk about that a bit, right,
Hmm.
on your journey through the application process.
Got it. Yeah. So for INSEAD, definitely like 8 essays, it's a lot. At first, I'll be honest, saw the questions. I thought, okay, it's a strength. I have to write weakness. There are one or two things I can just write and I'll be done with it. But I haven't been so wrong in my life before this. So yeah, like I don't know how to begin, but with INSEAD, I think when I got in touch with you, the first and foremost thing was for me to understand why that essay question they're asking. What is it that
Right.
they want to gauge about your personality from that question? So I remember there was some guidelines or some
Yeah.
doc that you had shared with me that had a couple of pointers in it. Then that ended with a pro tip also that you should
Mm.
connect this with something. So that was like the very much starting point for me, that I understood what they're looking for. Then I was able to think in that particular way. That was the beginning. I think we had after that we had those brainstorming sessions, which were like super useful for me. So I think you have also worked in management consulting, so you have that ability to ask the right question. So you are able to direct in the nudge the mind and the person in the right direction. So you ask the right questions. I was able to think in the right way, and then those anecdote stories came across. So after that, I think you generally have a perception about yourself that, okay, perseverance is my strength. But then why are you saying that? So it
Yeah.
cannot be just a random quality that you are quoting or random thing that you are saying about yourself, but it has to be followed by a anecdote that really proves why you are saying that. This was the third aspect that was very useful. I think I spent a lot of time doing that. I would start that, okay, this is my quality, this is my quality. I would keep on writing that. In our discussions also, I could get that.
Right.
I, in fact, used to ask this to my parents, relatives, my friends, my boss, everyone around me that, okay, what are the good things about me that you feel? What are the bad things about? So that those things helped. I was able to make a bucket list and then support it with an anecdote. So I think I was able to do that in a good way, that collecting everything at one place. In fact, every essay, I remember I used to put, different, like a P1, a P2, a P3, and
Yeah.
then you would say, oh, no, this is not good, this is okay. We used to select from all those things. So that was like from the motivational essay point of view, I think this was really, really helpful. That is how we approach. Uh, optional essay is like very important. That's like the
Right.
space that you need to use to clear off any things that you're not able to highlight in your profile, or any things
Right.
that the adcom may create a doubt. They might have a doubt in their mind, so that is what you can use. Coming to the career essays, again, career essays is an opportunity, that is little bit more transactional, so where you cannot show your personality angle. But I think still in the career essay 3, we were able to highlight a lot in that. So 1, 2, and 4 were pretty clear with why you want to do an MBA, what work have you done till now, what is your post MBA goal, so such things. I think I derailed from your question a lot, but I
No,
started
no,
thinking on
this
those.
is exactly what sort of wanted to hear your thoughts on
Yeah,
the process, right? How you approach
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Correct, correct. So I think, yeah, so I would think of a couple of things. I would write it in a way, then you would give your detailed comments on it. Then I would again think that, okay, why is he writing so many comments on me? To be honest, in the first few versions, I was like, oh, this is correct. This is what I'm saying is correct. But I don't know why Arvind feels that way. But I think the further versions we made, the further we discussed, then I could see. And that is why, I again and again keep on emphasizing on this fact that working with you especially was really a game changer for me. Because otherwise, I don't think I would have ever highlighted any emotional side of my personality, or be very open about the weakness. Like that weakness is just 3 words, but that weakness really, you really need to open yourself up. You have to make yourself vulnerable. All those things only came out in the process that you're doing. So I think broadly this was the process. Yeah, you also guided me to speak with the adcoms. So like you had mentioned to write an email to them, get a soft feedback on your profile. In fact, visit the Abu Dhabi campus,
Right.
attend the events both for HEC and INSEAD, and those super super helpful. You get more clarity on what the school has to offer. So you read articles online, and when you meet people, so that's a very different thing.
Right.
So I think these were things that we did. So yeah, broadly this has been
Right.
the process of, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe just to add on to one point there, right, on the weakness or sort of being vulnerable, right? I think you raise a very important point, right? And it's not just you, right? I would say, generally speaking, Indians, we are conditioned in a way not to,
Oh yeah,
let's
yeah, yeah.
say, you know, share a lot about our weakness, or sometimes
Correct.
about sort of our
Yes.
failures, or
Yeah.
with the fear that it may be looked down upon, and so on and so forth, right? Whereas if you look at
Mm.
school like INSEAD, right, that you're
Mm.
going to attend, or any pretty much top global business school, they
Correct.
receive applications from pretty much everywhere in the world, right? And different cultures
Yeah.
are different, right? And I think that's something that I noticed, and even I had when I was applying, when I was writing essays on failures,
Yeah.
etc., was a bit of a time taking process, and also
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
but I feel that's where you also learn more about yourself. And
Definitely.
it's
Definitely.
important not just from the application perspective, where
Mm.
those essays need to be answered in that word count, but also on what you want to do in life,
Mm.
right? Post MBA,
Correct.
career-wise, right?
Yeah.
Or while you're in that program, right? What are your priorities, and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. So I think that's a great point that you raised, right? Is to be
Yeah.
more self-aware, be sort of, uh,
Yes.
um, it's okay to
On
sort
that
of
point,
share and be on.
when you mentioned that like we Indians are not too open about it, I remember this. I gave IIT J exam twice, right? So
Right,
like my first attempt on second. So while I was
right,
speaking with you, I think you highlighted that, oh, we should start the essay from here, that you
right.
put effort the second time. And I never thought that I will be starting my INSEAD essays from that
Yeah,
angle, because I always felt, oh, of course, that's not a good thing that you had to do 2 attempts, but yes, definitely agreed on that.
right. Absolutely. So, great. I think that is very insightful. Just
Hmm.
talk a bit on the interviews, right? So post
Hmm.
for NCR, how was your interviews like?
Hmm.
If you could just brief us on any insights or any lessons that you learned.
Yeah, I think interviews were very smooth. You had mentioned to me we had done mocks, and I had read on GMATClub also that they are very conversational and very informal in nature. But till the time you don't go and do it, you don't feel it. So I always thought that it won't be like that. So I was very nervous, but the interviews were really exactly the way that people wrote, you told me about, and the mocks that we did, pretty much the same. So it's more of a conversation. They try to, but they are smart people. Like, it's not just
Yeah,
conversation that you're just
absolutely.
having a
Yeah,
random conversation. So in that casual conversation, they try to make you comfortable, and they will gauge like what are your motivations and why you want to do an MBA. Is the school right for you, and would you be able to contribute back to them also? I think these are the certain aspects that they would want to see. So in terms of insights, I think you, of course, by this time you need to be super clear that why really you want to do an MBA and how NCR or HEC schools can actually help you do that. That's an angle that needs to be done. Second thing is you have to read. You should definitely read about the person who is interviewing you. So most likely they try to align you, the interviewer who might have done the work that you are doing, or it would be related to a post MBA goal. So they would be gauging your motivations from that angle as well. I think majorly it's that. And again, whatever you're talking about yourself, you have to support it with an anecdote. So the way you do it in the essays, it has to be very similar there. So anything that you say, oh, I love music, okay, then but why? So you have to add something, some flavor to it, or I perceive, but then why? So something like how you're saying about that. I think those are the most important things. Funnily, my interview was a funny experience. Like the second one, I was supposed to reach at 9. I reached there at 8:45, and the interviewer was himself opening the door of his office. So he told me that he wanted to spend 10 minutes reading my profile, but I didn't give him that time. So we together read my essays, and then that is how the conversation began. So yeah, if you actually read about the interviewer prior to the interview, you will be able to connect more at a deeper level. So that would be beneficial. My first interview was also great. We met in a cafe. I think this was the first time that I've ever done a cafe interview. And whenever I would tell my friends and anybody, they would also find it a little weird that okay, interviews are generally done in an office setup, but just to give context that how informal and casual it would be. So yeah, I think these are things. Lastly, on the interviews, the thing that come to my mind also is from the mock interviews that we did, the feedback that you gave. Okay, the points are there why you want to do MBA, but the way you articulate it in a structured way, that's like the most important point. Okay, like why MBA? Like 1, 2, 3. I have these exact reasons why I want to do it, and the story aligns together is something that they should be able to see. And I think yeah, that's it. Voice really seeming exciting about the opportunity of going into the college, not being nervous are the certain things that definitely helps. So, but again, sorry, another like the mock interview that we did with an INSEAD alum, I think that was also very useful. Essentially, and maybe because I am in a managerial position, so I have that way of speaking maybe in a transactional way. So I was not able to put that emotional side of my things while I was interviewing. So that was one of the feedbacks that I got from you also. So that was definitely these are my those moments where I would not have thought about it, and I got that from you guys. So I was able to do a much better thing there. So yeah, I think about the interviews, yes.
Great. So I just wanted to ask you something, Shantanu, and I meant to ask this even earlier, right? You've gone through the process of NCR, you interacted with alumni, interviewed, even you visited the campus, right, in Singapore.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
if you could tell us maybe one or two things that, that you've learned, right, or that you found sort of, insightful, right, through this journey, particularly about NCR, whether it's about the alumni, whether it's about the campus, whether it's about sort of, anything that's in the ecosystem, right? Is there I don't want to put you on a spot, but just to
it's fine.
understand that, just to see your first thoughts,
Yeah.
which is why I think it'll be helpful for people to know, because obviously there's a lot of information online, but for someone that has gone through this journey for say
Definitely.
7-8 months, and it'll be good to hear your thoughts.
No, definitely. I think the top thing that comes to my mind is I went to the INSEAD campus in Singapore and I attended an event. I think I just met 10 people there. And out of those 10 people, there were 7 different nationalities. So just to set the context, when they say that it's an international school, it truly is. Like, you will find people from so many different places. And in that same room, the accent of different people is also going to be so different. So I think that is like really, I had not imagined like while reading or even when I met alumni, uh, because I live in Dubai, so I knew a couple of INSEAD alumni from India and definitely from the Middle East. So my reach out to the nationalities was limited to this region
Right.
specifically. But so yeah, I think for everybody who wants to, who aspires for INSEAD, I think that international angle is really important for them. So I think not just that you have worked internationally or you want to do something internationally. I think that's okay. That's one of the way of showing that you have an international mindset. But it's more about what I realized is they want to see whether you will be comfortable with different nationalities or not, whether you will be able
Right.
to gel up with those people or not, and bring out new ideas, learn from them. Are you open for those things? So
Right.
working internationally, having international exposure is like one of the ways you could try to portray that. But that is really important for them. That is what I have seen. So most of the people would have been somewhere, or they would have traveled somewhere, or they have done something apart from their cultures. So that's a key thing I think that I've learned about INSEAD, and which is like beyond what you read online for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Absolutely.
so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great. So
that's it. That comes
maybe
from India. Oh no.
absolutely. Yeah. So maybe I just have one last topic that I wanted to cover, Shantanu, is what's your advice, right? Pieces of advice now that you've crossed the bridge,
Yeah.
so to speak, for people that are planning to apply
Yeah.
to an MBA in CR, particularly
Mhm.
in CR, right? So what
Mhm.
are things that you feel they should keep in mind through the process and
Mhm.
while they're
Yeah. I think first of all, my advice would be like if you have a hectic work culture or you are generally confused, like, gets too overwhelming for you, like how do you want to plan, how do you want to approach the application essays, it's definitely, work with somebody, find a good consultant who could, really be helpful to you. So I'm not saying this because I'm doing this session with you, but I truly mean it. Like at least for me, 10, 12 hours of work is going on. After that, I don't want to come back and think what I have to do. So I remember the course sheet that you had shared. I tried to comply to it as much as possible, but like 12th April we'll do this, 15th April we'll finish
right.
that. So that at least gives a good direction. So that is one. Like if you feel that you cannot structure it or you have a busy schedule, then you should definitely do that. Second advice would be in terms of consultant itself, that you should work with somebody who you are very comfortable with, because it's a long journey and you should be able to connect with that person who you are working with. Don't go by what you read online, but probably meet them, ask them questions, have some 10-15 minute session with them. You'll feel comfortable, you should work. Third most important thing would be, you need to really really think, like, you're done with your GMAT, that's fine, you're writing your essays, you got a good score, whatever it is, but you really should think deep, your strength, your weakness, no matter which school actually, even apart from INSEAD, and why you want to do an MBA. You should have a general direction and idea about why you really want to do an MBA, what you want to do. These are the certain questions that you have to be clear about. If you're not clear about, you can speak with people. Speak with people with similar to your profile or the profile that excites you. You can reach out to them. And this is where, again, the admission consultant that you work with will help you out also in putting things together. So and lastly, don't really give up. I think I had my lows a couple of times. So I think I was the other day telling you the same. And in the round one, I really thought, Arvind, that we should give that SS. Trust me, I don't think I was much vocal about it back then, but
Yeah.
I took 10, 11 days leave and I was like, no, I just want to finish it off right now. But when I see my round two essays compared with round one essays, definitely there's a drastic difference. And it would have been just hitting, an arrow in the dark with round one for sure, but round two was better. So what I'm trying to say is be patient, be calm. It's fine. You will have your lows, but you have to stay motivated. You have to, perceive through this time, and you need to enjoy, and you need to learn from it. So I think my learnings have been amazing in this entire journey. Like, patiently researching, really
Right.
thinking deep, hard, not just, just like very shallow thinking, but you really get to know yourself better. So I think if I had not even got to INSEAD HEC in these last 6 months, I have really known about myself so many things, and that definitely helps you forward. So yeah, so you really need to think deeply on your stories, why you want to do MBA, and anything. I think majorly that would be it. And just don't give up. It's your dream. So you want to go about it, you should go about it. So there is nobody who can tell you that it cannot happen. Oh, by the way, you can also meet a lot of people who can tell you that you are not the perfect person for a school. There are a lot of people who would tell you that, but it is for the admission committee to decide, and not for you. So let them decide what to think. You can just go about it as is. And I think that's okay. Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely great. What Shantanu. Thank you so much. And once again,
Yes.
congrats and all the best
Thank
for
you so
your
much.
journey ahead in here.
Thanks. Definitely.